And we are live here at Workhorse Wrestling Network. Actually, not live. This is pre-recorded, but we are talking to you live for Under the Radar, where we are going to review MLW, AEW Dark, AEW Dark Elevation. We're going to try to review Impact because both of us maybe what it is, and Ring of Honor. So, as usual, I guess I will start. Oh, and BTE. I will start with my little MLW review. And this week was this was a short week. It's gonna be quick, easy, down and dirty. There was only one match this week. It took up the whole 45 minutes. It is War Chamber, and it is Ravens faction, the Calling, versus Alexander Hammerstone, MLW champion, and his group of guys, which includes Second Gear Crew, Mance Warner, Matthew Justice, and Manders, with Hammerstone against Ravens Calling, Ricky, Shane Page, Akira, and Delirious, and Dr. Cornwallis, I guess, is the other fourth member of the Calling. This is what it sounds like, War Chamber. So two men start, Ricky, Shane Page, and Manders started. They wrestled for 5 minutes. This was kind of a two big hoss, a big hoss fight, two big men, meaty men slapping meat. And then after 5 minutes, one member from each team would come down, giving the team potentially an advantage at the moment. Well, always giving one team an advantage, until everybody was in the ring, all 8 men, and then it just becomes a regular match. The first one to get a pin or a submission wins. It's what you expect. There was a lot of weapons, a lot of blood. I would say almost everybody in the match bled. If that's your thing, check it out. There's a lot of action, lots of good spots. The Calling, Ravens Group 1. It's not one of the better, faction war matches that I've seen. I've seen a lot better. But if you got nothing else to do, check it out. And that was really the end of it. The last thing that they had on the show, the one thing coming out of War Chamber was that it looks like Hammerstone may be injured. They talked about that at the end of the show. They said that he was being taken by ambulance to a hospital to be examined. They didn't really show the injury, so I'm not sure exactly what it was, but he was definitely down and not moving normally. So then they did have an issue they had a little segment with Taya Valkyrie where she's going to be forced to defend her title against Delmy, who's a challenger that's been challenging her, and she's been kind of ignoring it. So that will happen probably on the next taping. And, it was the only one match. If this isn't your kind of match, 8 men in a steel cage being bloody, then you can skip this week of MLW. If that's your style, then check it out. And that is MLW in about 3 minutes. So I'll bring Skim back in, and we can move on to something else. Which would you like to talk about next, ma'am?
Of course, we're going to start off with AEW Dark Elevation.
Dark Elevation.
And again, this week, Dark and Dark Elevation both only 4 matches, and I appreciated it.
Yeah, I was happy that there were definitely less matches again this week.
We got Maki Ito.
We did get Maki Ito.
And Emi Sakura, so instantly must watch episode of Dark Elevation.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little bit of a hard time saying much watch, just because even though it's fun to watch Makito and Emi Sakura, they were both really kind of squash matches. It's not like either of them was really a great match. If you're fans of both those people, you can watch them showcase, and that's great, which is what the matches were. But as far as like, gotta go watch this because it's a really good, high quality match, I'm not sure I'd put either of those in that bracket. But
It's a wrestling show on YouTube.
no doubt,
It's free wrestling.
yeah. I didn't think there was anything on this show that was absolutely must see.
Must watch Maki Ito. She's the first match. And Emi Sakura, was she the main event? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm loving the development of Emi's character even more
Yeah.
into Dissension of Madness because it works for her.
Mm-hmm.
Loving, I love getting to see more of Maki Ito. There was some JAS stuff up here, but yeah. And we
Uh,
did like Hardy Party as well.
yep. Not really much to talk about. I mean, like I said, the two women's matches. If you got nothing else to do, check them out. If you like Makito and Emi Sakura, definitely watch them. But
Yep.
not. It was a skippable episode. So you said 4 matches. I got 7 matches for some reason. Maybe I watched a different episode. Maybe we'll see. Like, I hope not.
I think there was only like 4 matches.
So I got Dark starting with Pat Buck versus Juice Robinson.
Yes, from the house show.
Okay. Yeah. So at least I was watching the right show. Again, what I mean, the funniest part of this match was the commentary, because they were talking about, Taz was like, "Oh, Buck isn't Nick and Matt Jackson's last name. I thought Jackson was just some funny name, and Buck was really their last name. Isn't Pac Butt the third Buck?" Like, and I was dying. It was
How many
hysterical,
books are there? Oh yeah,
right?
there's 7. There's 7, but really, like 3 of those,
Yeah,
actually most of this you did.
most of this you can miss. I mean, even
So
Pat Buck and Juice is missable. I mean, it's not. That's not the
it was
only
cool.
one.
It was cool to see Pat Buck like wrestle because I've never seen him wrestle, so it was really cool to see him wrestle.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of interesting. There were a couple matches that were somewhat interesting, but nothing. The only match that I thought stood out in the whole card for me was Angelico versus Christopher Daniels, the main event.
I feel the same. I think that it's very interesting that Christopher Daniels is getting to wrestle more now that Kaz is gone, and that was one of the things that Kaz left for.
Yeah,
For those who don't know, Kaz is Frank Kazarian, and part of the reason he moved to Impact is because he wanted to wrestle more. But AEW was focusing more on the young talent and wasn't giving him so many matches, and the matches that put him in didn't really have like a story or anything to it. So it's kind of like a match, but not that important. But I personally enjoyed Pat Buck versus Juice Robinson, and yeah, Christopher Daniels versus Angelico. I tried with a lot more of these, but they just weren't long enough to be good, or the talent against each other didn't have enough chemistry for me. But I did see progression, which is always good. Not necessarily from the talent in the matches, but the talent themselves, like their moves got crisper or their
yeah,
teamwork worked better. Like things like that I appreciated seeing. But yeah, I tried and it was not, I just could not.
yeah. There's times where Dark Elevation. I think the times that they're best is when the matches are more competitive, and I understand that, like, it's developmental, and I understand the pitting. Marina Shafir versus Dream Girl Ellie, and I get that they're both still growing, but like, there's a huge difference between the two, and it ends up coming off like a squash match to a certain extent. And so, when you get too many of those, it's hard to watch. Like, I mean, I like G's K and Sunny Kiss, but they got nothing. They weren't allowed to do anything against the Iron Savages. It's like, I don't. And they're good wrestlers. Like, let them do something. I mean, not every match needs to be a squash just because it's on, or a showcase just because it's on Dark or Dark Elevation, which is what I feel like sometimes they fall into that trap. So,
And it seems like it's so easy for them to do that.
no doubt. So yeah, as far as I was concerned, Angelico versus Christopher Daniels was really the only one that, and that didn't even make it. I got to look at my list. I don't think that made it in my top three like must see matches for the week.
I have
Uh,
from these. I have no must see matches.
yeah, I didn't have any of those from either of the AEW shows.
I'll
So,
be I'll be quite honest. Nothing this week was must watch for me. Like spoiler no spoiler. Like yeah. However, that brings us to ROH.
This was the only place where I had some matches that I thought were worth watching. I thought that whatchamacallit, I thought, even though I can't fucking stand him, I thought that Darius Martin versus Matt Taven was a good match. I can't stand Matt Taven, but I thought it was a good match. I don't like his character. I don't like his personality. He's a good wrestler.
This week we had the Kingdom versus Action Andretti and Darius Martin. So the House of Half Black just inserted someone because I think Dante is hurt.
Yes, Dante is hurt.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate. I want Action Andretti to learn how to talk. Matt Taven is a good person to teach him how to talk, and the Kingdom, honestly, the Kingdom as a whole would be really good to develop that part of him. Darius Martin has in-ring like personality, so having like pairing them together, I liked it, and it was good, even though the Kingdom won.
Yeah. Wait a sec. What do you have next?
I have Willow versus Robin Renegade.
Okay, yeah, that's what I've got. Okay. Uh, my notes say Willow versus Robin Nightingale. Clearly, I have a typo there. It's clearly Willow Nightingale versus Robin.
You know when you started. Anytime we got Willow, it's an amazing time.
Yep.
I love seeing I love seeing the growth in the Renegades. I did not like seeing them attack her, but yeah.
No, I mean, this was a good match. I thought it was a good showcase for Willow. Willow got the win. She looked really strong. This probably could have been a dark match. I mean, I don't have a problem with seeing it on Ring of Honor. I like Willow in Ring of Honor, so I mean, it is what it is. But it felt like a dark match type of situation, or a dark elevation match. Then we had Lance Archer versus Jossie.
Lance Archer doing his entrance of whooping somebody's ass. So
yep.
That didn't really happen.
Right? That was essentially a squash match for sure. Lance Archer showcase.
Yeah, Brian Cage versus Joey Jet, of course. Brian Cage kind of
basically a squash match again.
That wasn't basically, it was a super squash match.
Yeah, I mean I thought this episode of Ring of Honor was down a little bit in comparison to some of the past episodes that we've had. It almost felt like it might be the worst episode altogether since we've come back to Honor Club. Maybe not. I don't know. I'd have to look back. But there were some matches here that I thought were definitely down. Cole Carter, and then we had Cole Carter and Big Shotty Lee. No?
You missed the match.
What did I miss? Oh, Athena versus Heather Reckless.
I don't even like Minerva, and I'm going to give her some credit on this. I am appreciating how much Minerva is getting the name of ROH out there for the women. I want them to give her a good feud soon, or develop these women so they could be a good feud for her.
Yeah, they need to do something to push her. Heather Reckless was not pushing her. This was definitely a squash match. Athena, I got Athena's a great heel. I mean, I like what she's doing at the moment, so all the way around.
And just don't let Minerva. Then you have Lee Johnson and Cole Carter versus the Dark Orders, Alex Rose and John Silver.
Yep.
Good match. I want to see more of Lee and Cole Carter. I think this might actually be a better wrestling place for them.
Well, and they're away from the firm now, right? Because now QT's with Hobbs, so the firm is kind of dissolved, it appears. And
the firm,
not the firm, the factory. I'm sorry, the factory.
Cole Carter was with the firm. Lee Johnson was with the factory.
Right. So it looks like the factory is dissolved because QT is now with Hobbs, and so because later we see whatchamacallit on his own too.
Well, the factory got dissolved a little while ago.
So
So it just kind of happened off screen and nobody ever talked about. I
Yeah.
don't. So then we get Penta El Zero Mero
Hmm.
and Nick Camaroto. And
It is what it is. It was a match. I mean, I
I
Penta,
I will say I like this.
I did too.
I think having having Nick Camaroso um on RH really works.
Hmm.
And I think having him have go against a talent that's as multi-versatile as Penta works.
Yeah, I mean,
And go ahead.
I was gonna say, I thought it was a good match. I don't know how much it did to put Nick over. I thought Penta looked really good. I thought Penta won what looked fairly easy for against a guy like Camarado who does have some experience and some size and is much bigger than Penta. So I was a little kind of disappointed in that because I like Nick. I mean, I didn't necessarily want to see Nick get the win because I don't think he's in that position, but I thought they could have showed him with a little more offense, a little more overpower, give him a little bit more, whatever. So
Mhm.
I was a little disappointed in that because I like Nick. At the same time, I'm afraid that he's going to get lost in the shuffle, especially if he's not with someone like a QT. I mean, he was lost in the shuffle with the factory, let alone without the factory. So we'll have to see. I mean, he's got the look and the style, and I like him, but I don't know. We'll have to see if he is better. I do like him better in Ring of Honor, though. I think he's got more of a shot of being a bigger fish in Ring of Honor than he does in AEW. So
I really think
uh,
that Nick Camarado could make a bigger impact if he just had like a personality.
yeah,
Even the personality that we saw a little bit on BTE worked, but I don't know why that doesn't translate to like in person. But then we have Lee Moriarty versus Konosuke Takeshita, aka Uncle Don's current second favorite nephew.
this was one of my must see matches. I thought this was really good.
Anytime they get in the ring together, it's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like to catch it a lot. He's showing how good he is, and Lee Moriarty is one of my favorites too. So these two, as you would expect, had a really good match. Um, yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to say about it, but
Watch it.
yeah.
El Hijo del Vikingo versus Gringo Loco.
Hmm.
Um,
This was my number one must see match of the week. I did the three. This is number one. I thought this was an amazing match. I thought it did wonders for putting Gringo Loco on TV to see him where a lot of people haven't seen him because he mostly does GCW and independent stuff. He's not usually on. He's been on Dark and Dark Elevation a couple times, but very sporadically. So I hope that he gets more run in Ring of Honor and watching Vikingo. I mean, at this point, like I'm not ready to say Vikingo is one of my favorite per se, but he's one of my must watch now. Anytime I see that he's wrestling, I go out of my way to have to watch that match. The dude is just incredible. I mean, every single match you see something that feels new and innovative, um, and done in a way like. Don't get me wrong, I like Commander, but you can tell the difference between Vikingo and Commander. Commander does a lot of the same kind of stuff. It's just a lot of ring walks. It seems like it kind of gets boring a little bit. Vikingo, there is nothing boring about him. Every move is a different move. It's nonstop action. I can't get enough of Vikingo. So I really enjoyed this match.
I think once Commander feels comfortable, we'll see a lot more from him.
Yeah.
But Vikingo, watch that match. Then have the Iron Savages versus Ren Jones
Yeah.
and Logan Lynch.
Not much to say. Squashing match.
That was a kind of
Yeah, I
that
mean
was
the Iron Savages have their new guy with them, Jameson something. I forget what his last name is or whatever, but it was more of a showcase to show
Ren
now that
Jones.
they've got a third guy and that they're I don't know what back and fired up and ready to I don't know who knows.
But the main event was
Poor Colt Cabana.
boom boom Cook Vanna boom boom Cook Vanna
I was so
versus
happy, like when I saw Joe and Colt were going to be the main event. I was like, "Oh, I'm so happy!" And then they did Colt so wrong. Just he
Colt was
loses quick. It doesn't get much offense, and I love Joe, so it is what it is. So I'm happy with that.
I
But
mean, but that's what you expect because in ROH lore, Colt Cabana has not been wrestling a lot.
Yeah.
Samoa Joe has.
No doubt.
Also, Colt Cabana might be the smartest baby face, being afraid to shake Samoa Joe's hand. Like,
Right?
I mean, the crowd chants, Joe is gonna you. Um,
Yeah. I thought this was, it was what it was. It was a short, solid match that Joe got the win. Love Joe, love Colt. I'm happy. My heart's happy just watching these two in the ring wrestle. So it didn't make my top 3 list of much see matches, but it was just fun and exciting.
I think it makes a good match. So that was ROH. And last wrestling
Yep, is Impact.
show is Impact. The big thing that comes out of this is that PCO, like fire ants, crabs, and all that good shit,
Fucking cockroach, dude.
PCO's never gonna die.
Never going to die.
PCO is also gonna get all the title matches because
Him and Scott D'Amore are sleeping together. I mean, why is?
well, wouldn't that get Giselle Shaw more?
I mean, I don't understand why Scott D'Amore keeps giving PCO title shots. Keeps putting him in the main event.
PCO now?
Huh?
Would you want to tell PCO now? And also,
I mean,
he wins his matches, and he wins them in usually convincing fashion. Usually by hurting someone else who cannot use their magical PCO powers to heal. Like this man, y'all. This man is like damn near 60.
I mean, I kind of get it because Macklin said, your toughest Canadian opponent or toughest Canadian wrestler, or whatever, and obviously maybe whatever. But God, I hate PCO, and I'm so irritated that I have to see him again on my TV.
How do you hate the Mountie? How do you hate the Mountie? How do you hate the Mountie? For those of you who don't know, and you get insomnia, go look at WWE Network or Peacock. He is the Mountie. That's how long he's been wrestling. He's wrestled longer than the Hart Dynasty. Let that sink in.
I believe it. When you're 100 years old, I believe it.
You know what?
That's why he needs to just retire and go away already.
I keep trying to tell y'all, Ric Flair's last match needs to be against PCO.
They can both just die together in the ring.
PCO will make sure that Ric Flair has a great and wonderful last match. It hurts Ric Flair to do it.
So coming out of it, we got PCO's challenging Macklin. Is going to be Macklin's first title defense. I'm assuming Macklin's going to win because they're probably not going to hot shot the title, and they're probably not going to put it back on PCO right this second. So, but we'll have to see, I guess. We did get a decent opening match though. Bailey and Trey Miguel and Jonathan Gresham versus Time Machine. It was okay. That was my third must-see match of the week. I thought that was a good match.
Yeah, Time Machine wins.
Time Machine does win.
And the other kind of big thing is Nick Aldis saying that he's going to come for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship, and Sammy Callahan doing a whole
Yep. We got Nick Aldis. He's back in Impact, and he's coming for Macklin, obviously. And then Sammy Callahan's promo about how he was actually fooling the design and pretending to be part of the design, and now he's going to destroy the design. So
I mean, if you didn't see that coming, you might
right.
Like you might be real simple. Like I don't know if I can put it any simpler than just saying you might be simple.
Yeah, Moose versus Yuya Uemura was a decent match, but this week was down. I thought for Impact overall, probably in the scheme of things, a missable show. If you're going to watch it, the only match that's really worth watching is the opening match. So, unless you got anything else to say about Impact, we can move on and you can tell us about BT.
Okay. Would you like to stay on for this one?
Sure, I'll stay on. I didn't watch it, but I'll stay on and listen.
So, did you watch last week?
I didn't. I haven't watched the last 2 weeks. I have not, no.
So when last week was more of like where he did the elite anthem, but this time it was Stand Tall, Don't Back Down to Be Elite, and last week he made a song, and it was like it's a very good song, like Brandon Cutler's that tugs at your heartstrings. But it starts off with the Bucks traveling, and you go to Nat and Brandon Cutler just like preparing themselves to like get massacred, and they're just like, yeah. Next, like, we might have a chance to win, and Brandon Cutler's looking at him like, yeah, say that we're gonna go out there and do our best. And the fact of the matter is, like, as they show clips from it, I will give props for props are due. Sometimes you forget how good Michael Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler are as wrestlers. That match did not showcase them fully because they didn't really wrestle, but the amount of punishment that they took and just their unwillingness to quit until they just could not take it anymore. I loved it. And then you have the Bucks coming in afterwards and like holding them up, and it was just like, that was so touching. It was one of those episodes where you're just like, oh, I like the Bucks being like friends or whatever. Then you have and that was really the major thing. Of course, you have Nick shit. I want to say Nick Ziegler, but that's not his last name.
Nick Nemeth.
Being his usual self. I don't know like how he does it. Like, bruh, you get yeah. Nick Damon. I feel bad for him sometimes because they read him like they hurt my heart.
You're embarrassed for him.
Like, I can't stop laughing at it. And I don't even be remembering why I'm laughing. But then I hear like Nick and I'm like
Just can't help but laugh.
But we have who is Hangman's friends. I forgot. I really did forget how well John Silver plays against the Bucks. And I know the Bucks stop interacting with them so much on being the elite because John Silver was making them laugh too hard. But he was like, well, do you have his wife? Like, who does his wife text you? Do you have his son's Instagram? And it's like, yeah, his son be DMing. And like Nick Jackson is like, well, yeah, Hangman's wife like texts us if like he's hurt, and he's like, that's a shoot. And John Silver was just like, shit, I didn't expect him to say that she texted them. Well, does he do that? Like, back and forth. This is my best friend. This is your best friend. We do have an update on one of the fake Bucks, Rosario Gallo. He will be back in action soon. I'm very happy because he and Dean Alexander both were on the cusp of breaking out. So now that he's back ahead of time, I'm looking forward to that. And then we end with Hangman watching the episode from last week in which he's jamming on like his iPad. But the Nick Damage joke for this week was about game night and a bag of nuts. And it's like, I think it's Honey Nut Cheerios, I think, or it's like a giant bag of like cashews. So if you really want to laugh this week, watch B&B. Like, skip past like the first maybe 5 minutes and then watch Being the Elite because Nick Nemeth just genuinely, just by coming out and saying my name is Nick Nemeth, he is far funnier than his brother. But yeah, that was BTE. That was Being the Elite. So let me wrap this on up. We are doing GCW tomorrow, right?
Correct.
All right. So tomorrow, or this should premiere on Saturday, um,
Yeah,
April
5 p.m.
22nd at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be
Correct.
live on True Hill Heat Gaming's Twitch channel watching GCW. And then at 10 p.m., we will be watching AW Rampage because Rampage comes on a day late, same time. For whatever reason, I don't know, don't care. However, Tuesday,
I don't like that smile.
I host Name That Superstar. And because I am an asshole, I am going to make it fun for us, hell, for everyone else. Because, as usual, we have the complainer over there. We're going to have reigning champion Sammy Joe, former champion who wants her title back and will stop at nothing to get it, Miss Anika, and a special guest. And you can find out live Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on the Cookout for Name That Superstar. Also find us live on Fridays starting at 8 p.m. Eastern for Friday Night Fights. Anika and Sammy Joe watch WWE SmackDown, so come along, watch with them, and don't watch the actual show because save your brain cells. But also on Wednesdays, we have All for Naught. There's chaos, but it's not that bad. Oh, the thing I missed from Being the Elite. Brandon Cutler was treated as a stooge for a long time. Do this, get that, book my room, all that stuff. This time the Bucks were like, take the time off.
Nice.
You got it. So
let them recover from the beating they took at the hands of the Blackpool Comic.
that, and it's a show of respect, and it's the fact that when no one else was willing to stand up for the Elite, and they knew they were going to get their ass kicked, they still went out there and did it.
Yeah.
And no one could tell them anything. Like, they put their all into it. It wasn't the best, but they put their all into it. So yeah. And of course, under the radar, a lot of great shows usually drop on Saturdays. So please make sure that you watch with us either live during the watch alongs, during the cookout. Interact with us. We're awesome people, we like to think. We are on Facebook. We are also on Twitter. We are here on YouTube. So please feel free to watch us, comment, like, subscribe, interact. Yeah, we're pretty wholesome people for the most part. If you haven't watched last week's cookout for the fantasy draft, and just as a taste of what you can expect.
When you're doing this, I want anyone that hasn't seen this. When you're doing this, I take the time to write down the actual rosters, and I want to hear comments because I'm still convinced I had the best roster. I think CM is a subjective judge and not an objective judge, and I messed up and didn't think about that. Miss Anika told me
I would like to reiterate your first 2 rounds sucked.
Well, your first round was KO, Solo, and Bianca, and the round sucks.
Your first round was good. Your second round, Big E and Alpha Academy and Bobby Lashley, great. Yeah. The other 2, no. Third round, hell no. Fourth round, you were close. And fifth round, it just didn't work together. Dude, you got to realize your roster has to work together. Think about the matches that you could put on. And be honest. Would more people watch the matches on your roster or Anika and Sammy's? And to
I
be
honest,
honest,
honestly, like I didn't write them all down, so I don't even totally remember who went to everybody at this point. But no, I take your word for it. I
like
take your word for
I
it.
thought about this, and to be quite honest, if Dolores was actually playing, Dolores would whip all y'all asses. I was like, I think Dolores. When I started looking at her answers, I was like, Dolores should win because Dolores clearly, y'all look, folks. They had to look at Dolores' comments to pick folks to draft, and Dolores was picking out better people the first round.
Uh,
The real champ is Dolores, but because I cannot do that, I had to give it to one of those three.
well, we're gonna do an AEW one at some point, so
Yeah, y'all gonna do an AW one, and we're gonna get Dolores in here, and it's gonna be boy y'all, and then it'll be even better for me because then I can be like Dolores, you won, because we all know Dolores is gonna smoke your asses. So, come for the wrestling, stay for the Dolores. If you don't know who Dolores is, she is one of our wonderful, wonderful subscribers who watches along with us. We appreciate you. We appreciate all of our subscribers and everyone who does the watch alongs with us. Y'all are wonderful, amazing people. Thank you all so much. While we crack jokes on each other, we really do appreciate all of y'all coming along on this roll, like this roller coaster with us. It's been almost a year. We're at what, 83, 84
yeah,
subscribers.
84 subscribers.
It has been a wonderful ride. We really appreciate y'all. Name That Superstar is going to make them cry. Oh, here's one of the questions I asked for the people to pick for the order we were going to pick in. Who was the first female catch can wrestler? Who don't know that? Who does not know that?
So I am familiar with obviously the term, which Nika was not. I was honestly surprised that it was Shayna Baszler. I don't know why. I just thought that there was probably a woman prior at some point that had done something like that, but that doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, yeah.
That's why she got really good at wrestling, and because it marries all things together. I
Mm.
also asked, what was Mercedes Monet's first acknowledged wrestling name? Bruh, it's her name. And I even emphasize Mercedes Monet's first wrestling. I couldn't, did I need to have a big old sign that says this answer? But anyway, I digress. If y'all want to stay and watch people cry because they're gonna lose, and that sweet baby race will be mine, all lose. Thank you so much on the cookout. Until next time, we love all of you. Stay safe, stay amazing, stay germ free. Get some sunlight, drink your water, eat your vegetables and your fruits, um, and do the Macarena. Bye.